Hey everyone, it's Dillon from 475. We're in Lafayette, Colorado today to commission one of our Brink ERV systems. They just got finished putting in the windows and doors. The air sealing has been complete, so we're ready to start commissioning. Let's get started.
In this video, we'll cover all the basics for commissioning an installed Brink FLAIR HRV or ERV. Purchasing a high-performance, robust, and self-balancing Brink FLAIR unit and using a kitted system are the first two steps toward high-quality, balanced ventilation. The FLAIR unit has the latest technology for precisely balancing the supply and exhaust airflows with vane anemometers. The unit's ECM fans respond to pressure in the system or ductwork. Using a kitted home-run distribution system helps reduce installer errors. While we can be confident in the unit's ability to provide programmed airflow rates, we always advise that systems be commissioned to check that proper airflows are being supplied or extracted from the intended places, and no installer errors were made. For instance, if there's a hole in the ductwork preventing the air from getting to its final destination. We do this with a highly accurate powered flow hood. At 475, we've found success with the ASIN flow finder because it has an accuracy within 3% down to 6 CFM, and it mitigates the effects of back pressure. This is among the most accurate flow hoods on the market, which is essential for measuring the continuous but low flows of an ERV or HRV system. Installers should keep the unit off and the distribution sealed while construction is in process to prevent dust and debris from entering the system. When the installation of the Brink FLAIR system and drywall are fully complete, the commissioning agent can begin their work.
Before a commissioning agent comes on site, the installer or homeowner should complete the commissioning readiness checklist that 475 provides. This will help prevent any unforeseen circumstances or any big mistakes.
The responsible party should first walk the site and note any deviations from the original design. They'll then confirm that the unit and ductwork were installed according to the installation guidelines, the building envelope is complete, the site is clean, and the unit is plugged into a 240-volt outlet. Finally, they'll make sure that the commissioning agent has safe access to the unit and all diffusers, providing a ladder if needed. They should note if any diffusers are in difficult to reach areas, if the interior finishes prevent a reliable air seal, or if there's less than 12 inches of unobstructed finished wall on all sides of the diffuser. A jig may need to be constructed using cardboard and masking tape to create an air seal in some areas. If the commissioning agent is aware, they can prepare for these conditions. A good check for large issues before the commissioning agent arrives is to use tissue paper to confirm suction is observed at extract locations and flow at supply locations. A responsible party who is familiar with the install should be present during commissioning to answer any questions about hidden ductwork, field changes, or other details critical to commissioning. When a commissioning agent first comes to site, they should also confirm the pre-checklist before getting started on the commissioning sheet. Let's look at the commissioning spreadsheet. During the commissioning process, the agent will verify that everything on site matches the sheet, make notes, and fill in the required information.
Perhaps one of the most important things from the commissioning readiness checklist is making sure that the unit that's been installed is the correct model. When we open up the front door here, we have a tag in the center that has the serial number as well as the unit's model number, which distinguishes if it's a left-hand or right-hand unit.
The commissioning agent should take a photo of the type plate, the installation setup, including details like manifold placement and the exterior grills. The serial number should be recorded on the sheet. Outside, make sure the intake is providing the freshest air possible, is located above the snow line, and that there are no restrictions such as leaves or debris on both intake and exhaust grills.
Another one of the really important things when installing the unit and inspecting it before commissioning is making sure that we have enough space around the unit to both change the filters and access the electronics on top of the board. So we open up the door and make sure that the door has room to open and that we have room to access the filters. Obviously in this room we've got plenty of space, but some spaces might be a little bit tighter. Changing the filters every 3 months to 6 months is a very important thing, and we want to be able to have easy access to that. The other thing is accessing the electric panel on top of the unit. This is where we're going to connect our power, where we're going to connect our controls. So we want to have at least 10 inches, but ideally more, so that this panel can easily be removed and the wires and the computer board can be easily accessed.
For HRVs, you should look for the P-trap and condensate line and ensure that this has been installed on the correct port at the bottom of the unit. ERVs do not require a condensate line. Next, check that the ductwork is installed correctly for the unit's orientation. All ducts should be clearly labeled according to the rooms they serve. 475 supplies duct tags to make this easy. Verify that all living spaces are connected to the supply manifold, and that all rooms requiring extract are connected to the extract manifold. This layout should match the design documentation. Then confirm that the manifolds are connected to the correct ports on the unit. If it is a right-hand unit, which this site has, the home side duct connections are on the right when facing the unit. The supply manifold should be connected to the back right port. The extract manifold should be connected to the front right port. For left-hand units, conversely, home side ducts are on the left, with back left as extract and front left as supply. You can also verify where the home side extract port is by locating the bypass valve. The fresh air intake can be confirmed by finding the preheater. The agent should also inspect the filters and replace them if they're dirty. Check to make sure that all appropriate filters are installed in the correct slots. The MERV 13 filter should be placed on the side of the outside air ducts. For additional reference, see the Brink orientation guide on our website. We always recommend referencing this guide as the symbols on top of the unit don't include a legend. Now the commissioning agent should review the overall install quality and document any potential issues. Take photos of any damage to the unit or ductwork, as well as any harsh bends in the ducts. Make sure all connections are secure and airtight. Some of this can also be confirmed once the unit is running by feeling for air leaks at the connection points. As the agent goes around the site, they should fully open all diffusers, and the kitchen filter should be clean to ensure minimum static pressure in the duct system, important for keeping the system efficient. Be sure to record all findings on the commissioning sheet. Reference the floor plans and consult with the responsible party on site to properly identify which rooms correspond to those listed on the commissioning sheet, in case of bedroom 1 versus 2, and that the same number of ducts listed on the commissioning sheet have been connected to their respective diffusers.
So the unit is now plugged in. We've verified that all the ducting has been installed correctly and that everything looks good. The unit turned on okay. There are no error codes, so we're ready to start programming it. We'll start with the date and time, and then we'll get into the flow rates and any controls. So when you get to the FLAIR unit, the screen is going to be off. All you have to do is tap it, and it comes on.
In the settings, gear symbol, go to Setting 15, Appliance Settings, and adjust the following. 15.1, Language. 15.2, Date Format. 15.3, Date. 15.4, Time Format. And 15.5, Time. Note that if you change the 15.8 display to Yes, this will allow you to use the 4-quadrant touchscreen as a multiple position switch. If you leave the display setting as No, quadrants 3 and 4 will serve as momentary boost switches. On the commissioning sheet, the commissioning agent should also record the outside conditions and date and time of commissioning. Next, the flow rates should be programmed. For this, hit the Home button to return to start, and then hit the setting menu again, gear symbol. Go to setting 1, flow rate, and start by selecting subsetting 1.4, flow rate 3, or high boost mode. Start with rate 3, then 2, then 1, and then 0. This is suggested as the unit won't let you set a flow rate higher than the setting above it. Adjust the flow rates according to the design from 475 provided on the commissioning sheet. Any deviations from original design should have been accounted for. Note that these flows are programmed in meters cubed per hour and can be changed in increments of 5. The sheet has already converted the airflows to meters cubed per hour for you, but if needed, you can convert CFMs to meters cubed per hour by multiplying by 1.7. Note airflow rate 0 is vacation mode. We recommend setting this around 50 meters cubed per hour or 29 CFM, as keeping the unit running on a low speed while away is best for the unit's ball bearings and for interior air quality. No controls will respond when the unit is set to vacation mode, as it assumes that no one is home. Airflow rate 1 is considered normal operations. For use of external controls, the unit should always be set to normal operations. The unit will not boost if it is already manually boosted on the unit, 3rd or 4th quadrants. For commissioning, set the unit to airflow rate 1, normal operations, by touching the bottom right quadrant and turn all external controls off, CO2 sensor, touch control, or anything that would alter the flow rate, as well as the bypass. Verify that the unit is in fact on the correct setting and no external controls are influencing the unit by navigating to the info screen, the eye on the home screen, and finding the ventilation mode and the live flow rates. Use the up and down arrows to find all data points. The unit should show it is in vent mode 2. This is not airflow 2. The measured on-screen flow rates should be at or very near your design. The commissioning agent should take a photo of all pages on the info screen and record the ventilation mode, firmware version, and the inlet and exhaust pressures. Let's get the flow hood set up and check that it's in the right mode. On the ASIN flow finder, that looks like this. Install the battery by removing this knob, placing it in the charge port facing down, and reinstalling the knob. Now press the power button. We want to be in validate mode. To do this, we select the back button at the top right, hit validate, and we're set. At the bottom of the screen, you should see a dash. Now we switch the units to CFM. Hit the back button again, go to Options, then Units. Select CFM as the commissioning sheet is set up to accept CFM. Now hit the back button. Make sure the 24-inch hood attachment is always on the flow finder when making measurements. Before you start taking measurements, make sure everyone on site knows to keep windows and outside doors closed. Hang a sign if necessary. Now we're ready to measure.
So now that everything has been verified to be installed correctly, we've got the right unit, we now turn the unit on, program the flow rates, and we're ready to measure the flows in all the rooms. Here we're in the living room looking at our supply. We're going to use the ASIN flow finder to check for 15 CFM. As I place the flow finder over the diffuser, I get it centered on the diffuser as best I can, and I make sure to not have any gaps where the hood is overlapping and getting some extra air or losing some pressure. So now that it's placed nicely on here, we'll press the button to go into stabilizing mode, and we'll start reading what we're getting out of here. So it's measuring that it's a supply, which is what we want to see. And we get up to about 19 CFM. So it's a little bit higher than we want, but that's okay because everything's fully open right now. So as we go and measure the other rooms, we'll probably find that they might be a little bit low. We'll then tighten this one down and everything should balance out and we'll find 15 CFM.
If you find gross abnormalities, such as if you are not recording any airflow, or if you are finding extract where there should be supply, the ductwork should be addressed before continuing. Once all flow rates have been recorded, identify which diffusers are supplying or extracting more air than is designed. If no gross outstanding issues are found, then fine-tune adjustments can begin. With everything measured, you may notice that diffusers closest to the unit are getting too much air, higher than design rates, and that those farther away are not getting enough, lower than design rates. Besides checking for installation errors, this is why we perform commissioning. Note that 3-inch ducts running to diffusers located near the unit should be lengthened to at least 10 feet to help with this commissioning process. The commissioning agent should note any very short or very long runs. Adjust diffusers with CFMs higher than design rates, starting with the runs with the least resistance, typically the shortest duct runs, before adjusting runs with more resistance, the longer runs, or those with more elbows. Remeasure all the supply diffusers after each supply adjustment has been made to see the impact to the other locations. Remeasure all extract locations after each adjustment to the extract valves. We continue tightening and measuring until all rooms are at the designed flow rates. Be sure to record which diffusers were closed and by how much. For design diffusers, the setting can be recorded. For the round metal diffusers, the length of remaining screw thread should be measured. The lock nuts on the round metal diffusers should be tightened to secure the final settings. The kitchen diffuser's damper setting should be taped into place. Certain building certifications require measuring the airflow at the intake and exhaust of the unit. Depending on the exterior siding, some creativity may be required to create a seal between the flow hood and the grill. Once all design flow rates have been achieved, the commissioning agent should sign off and provide the report to all applicable parties. With commissioning complete, all external controls such as CO2 sensors and the bypass should be turned back on. The commissioning agent often assists with any accessory controls that are installed, ensuring all are working correctly. Providing homeowner education about system use and routine maintenance is good practice. By keeping the intake grill clear of debris and regular changing of filters, the unit will perform well for years to come. Installer maintenance should be performed once every 3 years and includes cleaning the heat exchanger, internal preheater, and fans.
All right. That room's got about 16 CFM exhaust, which is exactly what we were looking for. We've done every room in the house now, so everything's completely balanced and the commissioning is finished. Now we can go home.
Thanks for watching this commissioning video. Please reach out to the Brink team at 475 High Performance Building Supply with any additional questions about your Brink FLAIR system installation or operation.